good here. You might not need as much of me.
Good morning, Transpac fans. Well, good morning for those listening in here in Hawaii. This is Dobbs Davis from Seahorse USA. I'm here again with my honored guest, Bill Lee, and we're going to give you the 21 July race analysis report. As you can see by our tracker, there's a lot of boats already finished. I think 21, was that the count, Bill?
16 so far.
16 so far. What I have up here is a tracker. Now this is the live tracker that turns live for everyone once they get within about a 200-mile radius. But we'll zoom out a little bit and look at the big picture first. And actually, when we do this, I want to bring in another guest, which is Dee Smith. I'm going to try to call Dee now and put him on speakerphone. He's at the airport actually on the way over to Kauai for a holiday, but he came in on Wizard last night, so I wanted to bring him into the conversation for everyone.
Hi.
Hello, Dee. We're on the air right now. Are you okay to speak?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, I can.
That's great.
Background.
No, I think it all sounds good. Thank you. So on the Wizard, tell us a little bit about what sort of weather issues you had during your race.
Well, I think it was a very dramatic weather situation for us because we were just ahead of some of the boats that started with us enough, but not far enough ahead to attach to the weather situation of the boats that started first. And on Monday, basically there was a hole in the middle of the course and we kind of ran into it from behind and couldn't get through it. And that weather consisted of a lot of cloud activity and tropical weather that really reminded me of the doldrums, and we were just trying to bounce around from the minefield of clouds and rain and puffs of wind and holes and all sorts of things.
We're watching that. I'm showing our audience, Dee, your track on the tracker, which for those following along here is in purple. And about in the middle of the race, around 140 longitude, there's really a lot of zigzagging going on.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of got the grips at the same time and started to dive south behind us, the slits and the 52s. And they definitely could not make it in front of this thing. The grips also showed that we had the speed to just get through, and so we chose to go that way. We had one light air patch, I think, the second or third day, and which was actually a clear spot, and the wind just dropped out of nowhere, went down under 10 knots, and we weren't going too fast, and that hurt quite a bit. But then we recovered from that, and then we kind of ran into this thing about 600 miles out, and it was really hard. Ragamuffin was able to punch through to the north, and Maserati was able to get through to the south, and we were supposed to be able to go through the middle, and we just couldn't quite get there the way we wanted. But still, I think we managed what we had pretty well and did the best we can.
No, and I'll tell you a remarkable thing, Dee, you can't see this, but I'm showing our audience is that I'm backing this up in time on the tracker and showing them how this transpired with Maserati breaking through to the south, you guys in the middle, and Rags being able to get something up to the north. So it's just bad luck. But you are the Barn Door Trophy winners, and congratulations on that feat. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, that was our goal in the beginning. We always wanted the big door, and the boat was obviously capable of doing that. Halfway through the race, it looked like we could definitely get the class win too, and we were hoping to get that as a added bonus, but unfortunately we came up a little short.
Well, look, thanks very much for joining us today, Dee, and have fun over in Kauai. We'll see you later this week.
Okay, have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Bye-bye. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dee Smith, he's actually a co-skipper. I've been calling him the strategist, but in fact I learned that Dave Askew's brother Peter was not able to make this race, so Dee filled in to be the co-skipper of the Wizard team. It's a Reichel Pugh 74 that won the Barn Door Trophy as the fastest elapsed time for a manual-powered yacht. Maserati, the Volvo 70, and Ragamuffin, of course, with Canning Keels, did not qualify for that trophy. Bill, talk a little bit about, if you could, just how this race has transpired. I mean, we've got this very strange pattern. We touched on it a little bit yesterday, but you know, you've certainly been involved with this race for many years. You know, historically, has there been anything like this with that kind of track?
Certainly not recently, but there's been spotty weather to the north, and usually if the wind starts to die in Transpac, the winning strategy is to go south. So that's what obviously a lot of boats did in uncertainty is to get south.
Talk a little bit, if you could, about how the latest generation boats are just so much faster than the boats used to be 20, 30 years ago, and how that affects their strategies and looking at their tracks on this course.
I think that's interesting from a couple points of view. One is that 30 and 40 years ago, it was rare that the big boats broke 10 days, and they were basically spinnaker pole boats, and you pull the pole back, and you don't run square, but you run pretty deep. And these newer sprint boats with the higher stability, the ability to plane in many cases, they operate more like a catamaran, and they can sail high and go a lot faster, which gives them the latitude to cross the course to where they think there's more wind. That just wasn't the same with the older, heavier boats. So part of the zigging and sagging you see is that if they reach up, they can go fast and hopefully in the direction of more wind rather than less wind, or better angles.
Yeah, you see these jibe angles here for the Division 1, 2, and 3 boats, and it's very different than if we look at jibe angles for Divisions 6, 7, and 8, for example. We'll take 6 out, but look at 7 and 8. These guys were earlier on in the race. We'll bring them back in time. Much straighter tracks.
Right.
And meaning much narrower jibe angles, perhaps, and just squaring and running down the track.
So they don't have the option to cross the course as far in search of more wind that the new modern boats do, because the modern boats go faster when they're reached up anyway, so they might as well go to more wind rather than point straight downwind to Honolulu more like these guys do.
And we are expecting in just a few hours' time the HPR division boats to come in. These are boats that are in general the TP52s, but we have a couple of Division 1 boats. This is where they are at the, nope, this isn't where they are now. This was a little while ago. This is what they were doing through yesterday. Look at those jibe angles. But these boats are really sagged off to the south. Now look at it. Now they're making final approach. They're up against the fence, aren't they? There's nowhere to go left. There's no more port jibe left for them.
Right.
It's all up against the wall now, and I guess tactical options are thrown away. It's all a drag race, isn't it?
Well, you're still going to go on the north jibe or the south jibe. In that you're looking at them from 50 or 100 miles out, and they still have decisions to make. Is there more wind or better slants to the south or to the north?
Well, that's yeah. Now I was going to say that it might be a good time to talk about weather. This is the current weather in the big picture, Northeast Pacific. Look at that low feature here that we saw developing yesterday. It has deepened as predicted. I mean, look at the cloud shapes there. It's really amazing. This is mean surface level pressure, isobars here in blue, and pretty unusual feature to have a low tucked in underneath this high pressure up here. So it's blowing nice and hard over here, but down in here, of course, it's spreading out the isobars. We're going to zoom in a little bit and see how this model looks for the wind field closer to the Transpac course. And here we've got a nice patch of breeze that seems fairly persistent. Boy, look at that. It even shows the lees, doesn't it, behind these islands. That's pretty cool. And of course, this up here that everybody's trying to avoid. So Rumliner Great Circle route is somewhere at an angle like this. and everybody avoiding that by staying off to the south. So our HPR class making final approach is coming in about this angle. If we go forward in time a little bit, and this will be basically coming into what the rest of today holds and into early in the evening. It seems to, with those streamlines, looking like it's going to be pretty good up along Maui and then Molokai, and then just deciding where to jibe through the Molokai Channel between Oahu and Molokai. And, you know, that could be critical, but if you screw that up, that's only a few minutes time. It's not hours of time, or, you know, that you might lose in being in the wrong place on final approach. Now, Bill, I also wanted to ask, historically, how unusual is it for everybody to go this far south in the track?
It's very unusual, but it's also very unusual to have that low up here in this kind of light areas, and especially a low. That'll make people very nervous, because if something happens, the bottom can fall out of the wind and you can be dealing with nothing, and you just want to be away from problems.
We're not projecting any winners just yet for HPR, but this is based on the morning position reports on time scoring. This is who was doing well and by what their corrected times were. So BCOM doing quite well, just about, well, only, what is that? 14 minutes ahead of Meany. Not much time. That could easily be. That's showing that it's actually quite close. And only another 7 minutes, less than 7 minutes, between Meany and Vincitori. So these HPR results are coming in pretty tight.
Which is, rule makers always like to see close places.
And then we see kind of a big gap here with the next boat's Varuna 51, the Jason Kerr design, has been designed not really as a downwind boat, more of an all-around performer. They were doing pretty well in the middle of the race. They dropped back a little bit in HPR scoring, but we'll look to see if they can make some ground up, because here we've got more of a gap coming in. Now, this calculation, as I may have mentioned yesterday, is critically dependent on what their recent VMGs have been. You can see that these boats have been actually moving quite a bit faster than even Wizard was on their final approach. The boats coming in on the Rumline track up in this neighborhood of the Transpac course, you know, they're not going that fast. Look at Badpack. That's an STP 65. They're only going 11 knots very early this morning, whereas these guys down here are going 13. And so this is a 65-foot high-performance boat going slower than a 52-foot high-performance boat, just about, 100 miles to the south. So there's really difference in wind pressure out there. In the other scoring, let's see if I can find, there we are. In ORR scoring, thus far, we see it mimicking those same results. Lucky and Vincitori maybe swapping places. Varuna a little bit better in HPR than ORR, but not dissimilar. Corrected time differences here are a little greater in ORR, but that would be expected, wouldn't you think?
I suspect those very close corrected times are just luck.
Yeah, sure. But this is what we see. Oh, I know. Lucky is actually not being scored in HPR. We don't have them on our scratch sheet. So this is Lucky sliding in here in ORR scoring. But you can see not very many minutes between these boats. So even in ORR scoring for the other the larger set of trophies, it's really going to be a dogfight coming in this afternoon. The other class that I wanted to highlight today are the sleds in Division 3. And where they are on the track and how their final approach is looking coming into Hawaii. These guys have been very much fighting each other. They've been very close throughout this race. You can see just going back in time and up the course, they were really bunched closely together. This was very much a tactical class, and probably without a lot of surprise, leading leading the class from almost start to finish has been Roy Pat Disney's Pyewacket. This is an Andrews 70 with Robbie Haynes and who else is on the boat?
Benny Mitchell.
Benny Mitchell, Gary Weissman. I mean, they've got quite the alumnus group there. Probably more Transpacks on that boat, Bill, than any other boat in this fleet. So they know the race course very well, even with the unusual weather circumstances. And I think it's been interesting because they may not have much of a speed edge because they haven't been extending that much. And I think therefore it's just really been a tactical game for them. But that's really going to be the next group to come in. Unfortunately, they're going to come in probably after dark, so we won't have any good images of them coming past the finish at Diamond Head. Nonetheless, this group coming in tonight will be very interesting. I don't know if Alchemy has a chance at closing the gap with Pyewacket on corrected time. How are they doing? Well, actually not that far separated, are they? 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Yeah, so these guys are going to be working hard. Now, what about Grand Illusion? I mean, that Grand Illusion has won the Transpac in corrected time, well, at least twice that I know of, maybe more.
She has just been very, very consistent. There are a bunch of guys that have stuck together and done a good job with the boat. She's still up there. She's only a little over an hour out of first. So even though she's not winning, she's right there in the hunt. Also point out to these Division III boats, they're all probably 25 years old at this point in time, and new owners just take them and put them back together and buy them new sails and get several Transpacks out of them. Retro was the old Pied Piper on the Great Lakes, had belonged to Dick Jennings since new.
In fact, held the Chicago Mackinac race elapsed time record for many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very consistent group as far as participation and close competition.
I'm looking at the overall ORR scorings here, Bill, and instead of seeing Grand Illusion and Pyewacket in 1, 2, 3, in this fleet standing, as I kind of predicted early in the race, look who's doing well here. Dorade and Sleeper, two of the Division 8 boats.
Well, and one of the challenges with Transpac is the staggered start, and typically getting away from the coast is harder than getting from 200 or 300 miles out into Honolulu. So you'll see inconsistencies in the results that go clear back to the starting day. And the first start boats, the Monday start boats, had wonderful weather to get out of town. They were just absolutely efficiently out of town and out into the real wind. The Thursday start boats, they probably lost about 8 hours plus or minus in that light, southerly, rainy stuff. And then the big boats, the Sunday start boats, got out of town pretty good. But the other thing we're seeing is that no single start day or no single division is getting all the places. You're seeing a first and second in class in the Division 8 boats, the Monday start boats, and then you go up to
Division 3.
Division 3, which is a Sunday start boat. You're seeing the third and the fourth. There's the fifth. So you're seeing, but you're not seeing any Thursday start boats in the money, and they were the ones that, in the fleet money, this column's the fleet money that says fleet standing, is the Thursday start boats that got the short end of the stick on the starting line lottery this year.
Yeah, that's Division 4, 5, and 6. They had a tough time getting out off the coast.
Right, and it's just all luck as far as the overall goes on whether you get a good start day or a bum start day. But it's just part of the challenge.
Well, for those, this is the Transpac Yacht Club website, and if you want to know how boats are finishing and what their ETAs are for those interested. This page controls that. This is a drop down off the Honolulu 2013 tab. But what I wanted to close today's show with, before we do our final show tomorrow, was, yeah, and you can get to that from the home page just simply by clicking there. But just this incredible photo of Dorade. This is currently our overall Transpac winner. You know, early to project. We're not. It's not over yet. BCOM and some of or Pyewacket, you know, they might find a good burst of speed to overcome the current gap that they have in corrected time. But what an iconic image, isn't it?
And this is 77 years after she won it previously.
That's right, 1936. So it's just amazing. I talked yesterday with Matt Brooks and his team, and they were doing a wonderful job with this boat. Their goal is to actually go around the planet and do the races that this boat did in the 1930s, including the transatlantic race, the Fastnet race, the Bermuda race. They want to do these races in the boat in its original trim like this, wooden spars, wooden boat. They do have modern sails, but they you know, and some modern rigging, but they've got a wood mast, they've got steel standing rigging. It's really as faithfully reproduced to the way it was in 1936, and it's really phenomenal to see them doing well.
And they did absolutely a beautiful job.
Yeah, the boat is beautifully restored. For anybody who's watching this who's in Hawaii, we urge you to come down to Hawaii Yacht Club. The boat's parked right up front, and they'll be happy to give you a tour. So that's our Transpac race analysis report for today, 21 July. We'll have one more report for tomorrow morning. I'm Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine here with Bill Lee. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.